Formula One drivers are used to the tried and true racing format. Show up on the weekend, get some test laps in, do some qualifying, drive a race, and go home. So it's no surprise that there are drivers against the new sprint weekend format implemented by Formula One. Verstappen and the company have been particularly vocal in opposing the new design. There are those on the grid who don't think sprint races have a future, so let's hear what Kevin Magnussen and the Haas team have to say about them. Curious to know more? Now let's get deeper into this. Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel. Remember to subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon to make sure you get all the updates. Let's start the video. We may not want them, but if the drivers and teams do, we should be delighted too. This has been the biggest story leading up to the Brazilian Grand Prix. At the Autodromo, the third and final for better or worse sprint race of the year will be held at Jose Carlos Pace's venue. There were just 20 races on the calendar in 2017, not counting the sprint races. Next year, there will be 30. This significantly increases track time and on-track activity in just a few short years. Even though the Brazilian Grand Prix is home to the most thrilling sprint race in the history of the format, F1 driver Max Verstappen, while world champion Verstappen has won 3 of the 5 sprint races held in 2021 and 2022. Lando Norris and Sebastian Vettel are not enthusiastic about the final sprint race of the season in Brazil. Traditional qualifying will be held on a Friday afternoon after a first practice session, followed by a 100-kilometer race on Saturday that will set the grid for Sunday's Grand Prix. Having tried it, I disapprove. Verstappen remarked, "I don't like the weekend format, but I don't mind the one practice and going straight into qualifying. I think it's probably even better for me. The fact that it lacks emotion bothers me." According to Verstappen, drivers are encouraged to compete cautiously in sprint races since the benefit of qualifying for the sprint may not be worth the danger of making a collision or a mistake and falling heavily down the grid for the Grand Prix. After asking Verstappen about the snapping, "I learned that the rewards of being aggressive in a sprint race are far smaller than in an entire race, which is why I shouldn't have expected to see it on Sunday. In a shorter race, such as a sprint, you might take a chance to move up into third place, which would earn you a spot on the podium and 3 points toward the Drivers' Championship. However, in a longer race, such an action would only earn you 1 end and a spot on the starting grid for the following day. On the other hand, the results of this operation being attempted and failing could have disastrous repercussions. Starting from the back of the grid is a huge price to pay for 1 driver's championship points when compared to playing it safe and finishing 4th in the sprint to earn 5 championship points and starting 4th on the grid for Sunday's race. Starting from the back of the grid is a huge price to pay when compared to playing it safe and finishing 4th in the sprint to earn 5 championship points. Before we get into the reasons why Kevin Magnussen likes them, I'd want to tell you about a great company called Established Titles. Established Titles is aiming to preserve Scotland's natural woodlands and contribute to efforts to replant trees all over the world. Because of Established Titles, the wonderful last-minute gift of a square foot of land in Edelston, Scotland, comes with the added benefit of a tree being planted on your behalf by the global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. That's wonderful, but this present has even more to offer. In Scotland, people who possess land are referred to as lads or ladies, even though most of us weren't around in the 15th century. This present has even more to offer. If you give someone with property in Scotland, they will be able to legally refer to themselves as lad or lady and will receive a certificate to confirm it. This is not just a wonderful gift to give at the last minute. With these items, we are able to launch our miniature Scottish kingdom right now, owing to the significant discount offered by Established Titles on Black Friday. Additionally, you may be eligible for an additional 10% off savings on your transaction if you go to establishedtitles.com and enter the promotional code F1Reverse at checkout. Please let us know if you made a purchase from a well-known brand without using the coupon code, and we will make sure to give you a shout-out in the description of the movie. Magnussen has spoken favorably about the format after 2 successful races at Imola and the Red Bull Ring. He said, "I think we've done well. We've gained points in every sprint so far, and I quite like those weekends where you get into serious business early." Magnussen admitted that the format does not exist in a perfect state, despite the fact that he has a fondness for it. He stated, "3 practice sessions are a lot, and these weekends prove that you can get ready for qualifying with 1 practice. It's the same for everyone, and once you deal with it, it becomes usual." He was referring to the fact that after you have dealt with something, it becomes normal. As he continued, he said, "From a driving standpoint, it's very cool, but of course, the driver's opinion is critical because they are the ones having to drive, and it is the interviews that get broadcast around the world. So when Max Verstappen or Landon Norris or Lewis Hamilton say they don't enjoy it, fans listen, and their opinion is influenced." As spectators, we watch the races of the Formula One vehicles. Anyone who has been to a practice session on a Friday knows that the atmosphere is just as frantic as any race day, even if there isn't a championship up for grabs like there is on race days. Having qualification take place on a Friday and attaching actual stakes to the experience a fan has at a race makes the product more attractive to fans who attend races and generates significant additional revenue for Formula One company. Because both sessions on Friday are important to me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way, I'll be sure to watch both of them. But the sprint race only fixes part of the problems. Yes, Friday is more thrilling than Saturday, but Saturday's practice is completely pointless because the teams are working so hard to get everything in perfect working order for the afternoon qualifying session. They will only go out on the track to collect data on how the tires perform during race stints on the circuit because they are not allowed to make any changes to their vehicles between qualifying and the start of the race. Gunther Steiner has put up the idea of modifying the framework of the weekend in order to give the Saturday practice more significance. At this time, the starting order for the Grand Prix is determined by the grid for the Saturday sprint race. Nevertheless, Steiner says, "I'd like even more to have qualified for the sprint on Friday and qualifying for the main race on Sunday morning because the free practice is currently not very meaningful for anyone." Steiner is referring to the fact that free practice is currently not very meaningful for anyone. This year in Austria, we scored points in both the sprint and the primary race, which Steiner thinks is an upgrade over the old model that was only utilized 5 times before this year. "That's great," remarked the leader of the Hess team. "It's just a race like any other, shorter, and there are only 8 drivers instead of 10. With Gunther's plan for the weekend, we may have 5 thrilling and impactful sessions over the weekend, which is why I'm in favor of more sprints. There are benefits and cons to changing the format, but in the end, the most crucial factor is the fan experience, which would be enhanced not only for spectators at the track, but also for those watching at home. While I can see why some drivers might resist change as a fan, I say bring on the sprint races and I'm all for it. Let us know if you're looking forward to more sprint races or if the old format is more your speed in the comments section, and until next time, be safe behind the wheel. This is it, everyone. So tell me, what are your thoughts? Leave a comment below and tell us what you think. We appreciate you taking the time to view the video. If you haven't already done so, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Additionally, turn on the notifications because the video after this one